You're now tuned in to the Real Money Coach broadcast with host Tony Jackson, author of the book Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Get ready for winning tips and strategies to effectively manage your finances and learn the key principles of protecting and dominating your money. Now, here's author and host Tony Jackson.
Welcome to the Real Money Coach show here, where we are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those channels. And if you're not watching us live, you can also watch this or listen to this as a podcast on all of the podcasting channels, including Google, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, you name it. This will be also aired there. And thank you for tuning in. And you know how we do on the Real Money Coach show? You need to put into the chat where you are watching from, what part of the country, the state, the city, the world that you might be tuning in tonight. And we are glad to have you. And I'm just waiting for that first person to check in so that we can say, hey, and we know that you can hear us. You know that you're live. Because right before I went on the air, I had absolutely no internet, right? And so I was like, oh, it's going to be one of them hotspot days, but it came back up. Ruth Bell, it is so good to have you with us. And we got Dr. Benita Harris is in the house as well, both from Charlotte. We got Pam from New Jersey. Pam Jackson, no relation, but still my cousin. Anyway, we are related some kind of way. The Bible says we all come from one blood. And so we are excited to have you here. Thank you all for checking in. We're going to talk about a very important topic tonight. We're going to be talking about estate planning a little bit. We're going to be talking about the importance of doing that. And those of you who've actually had a chance to get this little book that I wrote here. Hello, Kimberly. Good to have you here. Listen, we got Mount Carmel royalty in the house tonight, Kimberly. We're excited. And so increase, protect, and dominate your money. And if you read this, chapter 6 is really about protecting your legacy legally. Now, obviously, I'm not an attorney. I just gave a little information as I know it. And so we're just, we know that it's an important part of that. Now, we got somebody from the private Facebook group that put in PSP. I have no idea what PSP means. So if you didn't mind just letting us know who you are and where you're dialing in from. I have to tell you, I had a great time. You guys will get a chance to see. If you haven't done this, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube page, to the Real Money Coach YouTube page, please do so. I will be putting some shorts, some videos from an interview that I had last year with the radio station, or not last year, yesterday, Monday. What's today? Tuesday, Monday, that I had with a radio station down in San Antonio, Texas, with Martha Rice. She was on our show not too long ago. Had a really great conversation with her and her co-host. And I think there are some gems there that you would benefit from. One of the things I want to do is remind you of this, especially those of you who are in a stone throw of Charlotte in the Carolinas, that we do have the Power Networking Conference coming up. There it is, the Power Networking Conference coming up July 10th through the 13th. July 10th through the 13th. I'm really suggesting that perhaps you might want to go ahead and get your ticket. If you go to the Power Networking Conference and you go to the ticket and you put in the discount code TRMC, y'all know what that stands for, the Real Money Coach, TRMC, all caps 2024, you will save 32% off of the already discounted ticket price. Now, that discounted ticket price is $880. Normally it's $1,400. It's $880. That includes one adult and one young person, between the age of 17 and 25. And then you put in that little discount code TRMC 2024. It will then take 32% off of that. And so we're excited about that. We're excited about Not only that, but we're excited about a kickoff reception that we're going to have at Top Golf that will take place on that Wednesday from 5:30 to 8:30. Rumors has it today that there are some people that may be in the house. I think we've confirmed that Master P will be there and will be presenting. We have confirmed that Tavis Smiley will be there. And I think we're working on Mr. Knowles, Beyonce's dad as well. That has not been confirmed. So if you tell somebody that right now, it's just a rumor until things are confirmed. So let me do this. Let me bring on my co-host. You all know her as Michelle Mitchell. Michelle, how are you doing?
I'm good, Tony. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. It's been a good day. It's been a busy day, but it's been a good day. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a good day here too. So
how'd the financial roundtable go? How'd that go?
It was excellent. Like my team members were like, "This is the best one we've had." So
awesome.
Yeah.
So for the people who are watching, listening, may not know what the financial roundtable is. Why don't you tell them once again what that financial roundtable is all about?
Yes, the Financial Empowerment Roundtable is we offer this once a month. It is free for any business owner, and we talk about subjects that matter to business owners that relate to your finances. So last week we talked about owner's pay and how do you pay yourself and the different mechanisms you can use to pay yourself, how to calculate what to pay yourself. So it was a very interactive and engaging group last week. But each month we pick a topic and we dive deep in it. Last month we talked about goal setting and how it's not too late to set your goals for the year, but make them measurable and specific, right? So SMART goals.
Measurable.
Yep. Attainable. Yep. Time bound and relevant. Right.
Absolutely.
So we did that last month and we'll continue to do that. Next month is Financial Literacy Month. So we're going to talk about financial literacy and how that relates to being a business owner. Yeah. And building wealth within your business. So, yeah.
Well, it's so interesting. And Alice Martin, thank you for tuning in. I love when our listeners put into the chat so we can say, hey, it's interesting. I had lunch today with some gentlemen, and these gentlemen have perfected helping businesses go public.
Ooh.
So, they do kind of a venture capitalist, not a big thing, not like a Shark Tank, right? So you go in Shark Tank, they're venture capitalists.
Right.
And they say, if you've got a good idea, we want 30% of your business,
right.
Not that. But it was very interesting conversation of how they can help a business, number one, go, raise capital if they need to raise capital, but also to be able to go public,
Right.
And as we know, Reddit just went or is going public, and you have these initial public offerings and these IPOs. It was just kind of interesting conversation. Not a lot of Black-owned businesses out there that specialize in helping other businesses that look like us go public. But what the part of the conversation, Michelle, that was really interesting is they said, and I know this is something that you're a proponent of, is that you have to build the business to sell.
You do. It's about the exit strategy. So you gotta put the things in place while you're working the business so that it's valuable to someone else.
To someone else, right?
Yes.
Someone. And so there's a couple of things that they look at in terms of businesses. Number one, is it scalable? Number two, do they have their books in order? Right.
Exactly. So,
And some of those things. And
then how is the owner receiving compensation? That is so
huge.
important. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Because it's it's a whole rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And one of the things too that we talk to on our side of it is on the personal finance side is just buy sell agreements, making sure that
hmm
people have, because a lot of people say, well, I want to sell my business, I want to sell it to, it might be a key employee, it might be,
hmm
and it's like, but they can't afford to finance it, they can't afford to do it. So how do you do
right.
those things? So we like strategies that help people with buy sell agreements and
hmm
different things of that nature, split dollar costs, which is allows a corporation to get money out, income tax free and legally, and all those type of things. So
Right.
a lot of great topics there. Michelle, I think what we should do is take a quick break
hmm
and show a commercial or two. And then I want to come back and introduce our guest tonight. I'm really, really excited. I was so excited when I found out about her. And she goes to Mount Carmel Baptist Church. Shout out to
Oh,
all the Mount Carmel
wonderful.
people that might be watching tonight. And so we were all about Ben Harbor last week, right? We
I
had
know,
Pastor
right?
Lindsay Bell on. We were all about, well,
Yes.
tonight we're all about Mount Carmel, right?
Mount
No,
Carmel.
no, no, no disrespect for my the Park Church folks. That y'all my family too. Y'all my
Right.
family too. So no offense, but we have one of our talented, bright members on tonight, and so very humble. And she is Elisa Chinn-Gary, Clerk. Elisa Chinn-Gary. I call her Judge. I like it because I'm like,
Right.
you earn that stuff, man.
She
You
earned
earn it,
that.
right? Like, don't let me get a doctorate degree and then you just don't call me doctor. I mean,
Right.
there's enough people with the doctorate degrees running around that didn't earn them
Right.
that we call doc. So if you earn it, you deserve it.
Y'all feeling all right? Listen, I've tried it my way, but it took away all my faith. I tried to sleep it away, yeah, but the pain stayed. I've tried to blend in, but it was bigger than my friends. You see, I've tried hard, I just needed to trust God. I've tried hard, I just needed to trust God. I've tried running away, but I never found my place. Tried staying in,
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
All right, Michelle, for those people who are listening and not looking, maybe through the podcast, how do they get a hold of Mitchell Consulting?
Sure. Mitchell Consulting is at mitchellconsultingservice.com, or you can join our free Facebook group, and it is called Empower, Thrive, and Scale. So just search Empower, Thrive, and Scale, and you can join our Facebook group.
That is awesome. And for those who are looking to connect with the Real Money Coach, realmoneycoach.com, you can go there. And as I mentioned in the commercial, you can go and you can get your free financial wellness checkup. Michelle, there's 4 areas we're going to give you a grade in. Your money habits, right? The money habits, your retirement planning, your financial planning, and your insurance. And so make sure that you tune in to that. And I tell people, it's not the grade, but it's the thought process when we're asking you those questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's the disruption there. The other thing I want to mention is that you can also find out about your tax bill, your retirement tax bill. People do not realize how big that bill will be, not only in your retirement, but then even upon the transfer, especially of your tax qualified money to the next generation. So we always want to be prepared. I want to do this. I want to bring onto the stage with us tonight, Judge Clerk Elisa Chinn-Gary. She's in Mecklenburg County, and she's going to come on and tell us a lot about her background, how she got to where she is. And this is a proud moment for it's not Black Women's History Month, but it's Women's History Month. And so we have a history maker. And so with no further ado, let's bring Clerk Chinn-Gary onto the stage. That standing ovation there, that could be the Oscars, or maybe it's the NAACP Image Awards. I don't know what it is, but we're just happy to have you. How are you this evening?
I am well. Thank you so much for inviting me. Since I have been here, I have learned a lot just listening to the both of you, and it's time for me to have a financial wellness checkup.
Come on, we got
Yay.
you. We got you. Well, here's the thing that I found out about Mount Carmel in particular. There is so many movers and shakers there, attorneys and judges and all these people, doctors, and you would never know it. Everyone is so humble, and you are one of the most humble people there. And I found out during Black History Month, I'm like, I didn't even know. I didn't realize how much that you had accomplished. And so, and I know you're traveling and you're taking time out to spend some time with us. And I so much appreciate it. So this is how I'd like to start. Just give us a little bit of background, where you grew up, maybe a little bit of, where you went to school, maybe a little bit of the educational law background, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Born and raised right here in North Carolina. Never lived anywhere else outside of the state, nor do I think I have a desire to. This is home. I was born in Winston-Salem and spent much of my formative years there. Was a graduate of Winston-Salem State University. Very proud Ram. I think I got on my red and my black.
You represent.
That's right. When I graduated from Winston-Salem State, I did not know whether I wanted to pursue an academic career that was grounded in the law or grounded in social work. And I had the phenomenal opportunity to complete a dual degree program at UNC Chapel Hill, where I am this week speaking. So I received my Juris Doctorate and my master's in social work that really concentrated on systems, families, and children. And I made my move to Charlotte, where I have been for the past 24 years.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we're glad that you're in Charlotte. So in your career, I'm just kind of curious, what are some of the challenges that you faced? And really, I think much of our legal system has been male dominated for a number of years. I'm just kind of interested with it being Women's History Month. What's your perspective? What some of the challenges that you think women face in the law area?
Well, undoubtedly, it is male dominated. And I think that while we have a great representation of women of color in our Mecklenburg county, that is not true across the state. Sometimes I think I live in an awesome bubble, and then I travel and see that not everything is the same. But I can say that I am just humbled every day. I'm just really honored to serve this community. I mentioned I made my trek to Charlotte right after law school, but one of the most important things I did that I think really set my career is I interned for a nonprofit law firm called the Center of Death Penalty Litigation. It was my very first opportunity to understand mass incarceration and what it looked like. It took me in and out of a lot of country town jails and of course our central prison where death row inmates are housed. It really changed the landscape for me, gave me purpose, gave me something to fight for, something to fight against. And I think that when I came to Charlotte, I was ready to change a system. And that is what I have found very rewarding and purposeful, my part in disrupting a system that has excluded and exploited and underserved women, people of color, and certainly those who live in poverty.
Wow. Now, this is a shame. We don't still have the death penalty here in North Carolina, or is there?
Yes, we have the death penalty here in North Carolina.
I did not even realize that. That's a shame. I've been here 10 years almost, and I didn't know that. Seems like I ought to know. Seems like I guess I stay away from the legal system, so I guess I just didn't know. You know, one of the things I was thinking about, just as we were talking about in your position, what was that moment like for you when Ketanji Brown Jackson, I think, if I'm saying that right, when she was sworn in to this, Supreme Court? What was that moment like for you, being in the legal system and working for so many years there?
It was a very proud and meaningful moment. I'm going to tell you what I did. I got on a Zoom call just like this one. I don't know if it was Zoom or some other medium. And I watched the screen fill up with one Black female face after the other. Black women across the country came together.
Wow.
And we just talked and sat with the moment of what was happening. So I don't know who organized that. You know, we have so many Black women across this country who are change agents in the legal field. But just imagine you scroll and there's 50 more. And you scroll to the next page and there's 50 more. And you just kept scrolling, looking at beautiful melanin skin and all the beautiful things that we bring to the table. So we celebrated across this country, Black women in the legal field and who hold positions of power and authority, and try and do that with dignity and with God's grace.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, here's the thing, when I found out about your position and what you do, I hone in on the kind of the probate thing, right? Because that's a big thing that we talk about in the financial realm, just in terms of people protecting themselves from the spin down process if they needed care and have to go through the Medicaid and some of those types. And then certainly the importance of having a will, trust, healthcare power of attorney, those type of things. I know that that's kind of a small piece of what you do. I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit, but then kind of share a little bit about what your overall duties and what your career, what do you do?
I'm so glad you asked that. Most people assume without asking. So I really appreciate the opportunity to explain what it is that I do. And the best way that I know how to explain it, folks know the difference between a teacher, a principal, and a school administrator.
Mm-hmm.
They know the difference between a nurse, a doctor, and a hospital administrator. Who is the administrator of our courts? It's certainly not a judge who has one docket in front of them day after day. There are a team of people who are working hard to ensure the efficiency, the effectiveness, the organization of our court system. And in Mecklenburg County, that's me. I am the clerk of Superior Court and the judge of probate because I do have a judicial function. So first, that entails being the financial manager for all court fees and fines that come into our system. Money that is held in trust for minors, bonds that come into our courts for criminal cases, people who pay fees and fines as it relates to court costs or penalties. We're really talking for Mecklenburg County about $100 million a year. And I have a phenomenal financial management team that helps me to do that with the greatest level of integrity and fiduciary responsibility. We are the largest county and bring in the most dollars of any other district in North Carolina. So one is being that comptroller, that financial manager of the courts. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I oversee the largest body of employees in the North Carolina Judicial Branch. So personnel management is something I do every day. I hire folks to support the work of the courts, and that is a wide range of people. Mm-hmm. So I need some IT folk. Mm-hmm. I need some folks who know how to honestly fix chairs and glue down carpet. Facilities is something that we take care of. I have a team of attorneys who manage our probate and other issues that come before the court, such as adoption, guardianship of minors or adults, incompetency when we have loved ones who are not able to care for themselves, some division of land, claim of liens with homeowners associations, any number of legal issues that come before the court. There is a body that is exclusive to the clerk's office, and therefore that's where the probate role kind of comes in. I am also the record keeper. Mm-hmm. So every complaint, petition, citation, brief, exhibit, anything that you can tangibly touch that becomes a part of the court record is my responsibility. We have in the last 5 months, it seems like yesterday, moved to an electronic paperless platform. It really has been one of the greatest undertakings our court system has seen in the last 100 years. And we are still working out the kinks of that. It has been a hard road. But I am hopeful that it will bring greater efficiencies and access to the public in the future. So those are just some of the other things outside of probate. But I tell you, what we learned, I think what became so close to my heart during COVID, when we saw in this community an increase of people who were literally leaving this earth, is that estate planning is critical in every part of your adult life. You do not have to be a seasoned elder to put your desires on paper. And that's really what it is. You are putting forth clear instruction about what you want in the event that we all will face one day when you leave this earth. And there's some benefits to it. You have the time and you have your right mind to think through these things, to talk to professionals, to tell your family your wishes. You have time to organize it and document. Most wills and powers of attorneys and those kinds of things are documents that are kept in a safe place or sometimes a bank deposit box. But the courts is also a place in which we hold and file documents. So I have a large collection of living wills.
Yeah.
Of living wills where folks are like, I have done my work. It is recorded with the courts. And when the day comes, I've got that ready. So I would just say that in terms of having clear instructions for your family, making something that is emotionally difficult a little easier for them because they have clear instruction and there's no need to argue or fight or debate. All of those things are very helpful. So that's kind of in a nutshell, from probate to managing our very large staff. There's one other component that I really didn't say, and that's court administration. What court is going to hear what case at what time? How many cases are going to be placed on the docket? Have they been noticed? How do we have address changes? Have folks been subpoenaed? Some of those responsibilities are on the attorneys who are moving this case forward, and some of it falls upon the clerk of Superior Court.
Well, Michelle, I'm glad I asked a question.
I know, right?
What I found out is that we have the HWIC, right? The head woman in charge.
Yes.
I did not realize the magnitude of your position, and I've learned a lot tonight. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple things that kind of came to my mind as you were talking about it, and you know, we've seen these cases like Aretha Franklin, where we find these wills in the couch, and you have these type of things that happen, and then you know, you got cases like James Brown that went on for years before being settled, and then you have like the Prince, but then you have someone like Michael Jackson who had things relatively put in order. But one of the things that we always tell people is that you don't have to be wealthy or think that you're wealthy to do estate planning, to have a will, to even have a trust for that matter. And so there's a lot to that, and there's a lot to be said about planning. And you know, as a minister, I tell you, there's two Chinn-Gary, there's two events that happen that I see families get tore up over: weddings and funerals. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Them two, right? Because everybody has their idea of the wedding, and you know, you have two sets of families that are being merged. And when two families merge together, there's always personality conflicts, there's always different things. And then at death, you have a family that's really been torn apart. There's an important link that's now not there. And sometimes we don't know how necessarily to deal with that grief and the trauma of that loss. And so I imagine that you've seen some real stories to
I'm sure
in your time. So tell us, how long have you been in that position?
I started as a court administrator, I want to say at least 20 years ago. I oversaw the cases that came into our family in our juvenile courts. So with family, that's everything from divorce, child support, distribution of property, those kinds of things. And then in our juvenile area, that covered youth who had been charged with crimes and youth who had been taken out of the custody of their families due to allegations of abuse and neglect. So managing those body of cases, very much centered around family crisis. Yeah. You understand that you are serving people on one of their very worst days, and they are not happy to be facing the situation that brought them to court that day. Some of that is similar in probate. I've had the role of judge of probate since 2014. My predecessor retired after 24 years. She was the first woman in 200 plus years. She was the first woman to hold that position. She held it for 24 years, and upon her retirement, I entered my name in the race to become Judge of Probate and Clerk of Superior Court. And I'm just so grateful that across Mecklenburg County, I was the top vote getter. And I'm just going to have to say, you said that I was humble, but I'm going to say this, it wasn't close.
You don't want to talk about it. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So go ahead and win that election.
You can say it loud, say it proud.
Right.
So my initial race in 2014 was contested. I really had wonderful people to support and surround me. And I always say that, Elisa Chinn-Gary is not a common name. Sometimes it's even hard to roll out the tongue. But imagine 275 people going into their voting booth and saying Elisa Chinn-Gary. I'm just so appreciative, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't bring my best energy to serve those who put me in this office.
Well, I like that name, Elisa.
Yes.
Because I have Elisa.
I know
It's
you.
spelled a little different, but pronounced the same. I want to ask you about this. So speaking of Elisa, my wife, who's an ESL teacher, one of the things I'm going to give my opinion, because I kind of do that sometimes, right? Immigration. What's your take on immigration? The state of immigration. I don't know if it's something that you could speak on. And I imagine that there's some of that probably kind of float. I mean, the whole court system is under you, so it's got to come through. So what's your thoughts at a place like Charlotte? I know it's different, with bordering states and that type of thing, but just kind of give me your thoughts on immigration today.
The best way that I can approach the topic is, first, let me say that it's very intentional that I entered a system whose job is to present justice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see justice ultimately fulfilled on a daily basis. So when you think about God being a God who is just, I ask myself, are we treating God's children with dignity, with fairness? Part of my platform as the Clerk of Superior Court, and part of what I was doing prior to campaigning, is really talking about racial injustice in our court system. I was kind of brought up that way in my practice of law. So what I would say around immigration is that our systems need to serve people equitably. I can remember a time in my tenure, this has been maybe 12 years ago, there was a campaign to invite people to court who the intention was to arrest them upon arrival. So you're in a catch-22. You feel like you must go to court because there is the threat of arrest if you do not show. And then when you do, there's an uncertainty of arrest. And that was, you may recall that period right when ICE was escalating in our country. I speak about racial inequity all the time, and I can tell you that I even apply it to money. The $100 million that my offices collect, those are hardworking people who can't afford escalating court fees and court costs. They're just not affordable.
Mm.
It costs to spend a night in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I'm in a pretty nice hotel that I checked into that I paid for today. Imagine having to pay for a stay in jail after being arrested. It's mandatory. It's not free.
Wow.
The public defender. We are under the assumption that if I can't afford one will be provided. Well, I have to pay for the affordable one that is provided.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are wrapped into our fees. There are fees for DNA lab tests. There are fees for examining body cam and retrieving that. So your defense of yourself, it's even tied in money. There are just a history of, because we're here to talk about money. You're the money man. There is just a history of exploitation, not just of immigrants, but for those who were born and raised here, around money and our system of justice, and not just criminal fees, but civil as well.
Yeah.
Civil judgments prevent folks from obtaining housing, obtaining loans, sometimes obtaining employment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I was thinking about that because one of the things that kind of bothers me is that when you listen to the narrative, and it's so often, they always talk about these crimes that are committed by undocumented immigrants. And they bring such a spotlight on it. Well, there's a whole lot of folks that's born and bred here that are committing those same crimes, but we seem to want to turn our cheek because of political interest and that type of thing. But I think that you raise up a very good point in terms of economics, is that, when we don't have the economics to defend ourselves appropriately, or we're going against, we might be fighting someone that has unlimited resources or can get private eyes and, et cetera. I don't want to, talk about the TV shows and all that kind of stuff. I mean, because I know that's a whole nother drama, that's there to sell ratings. But, it's that you raise a very, very good point. And on this show that I was interviewed yesterday, we were just talking about the homeless population. And Cameron, my grandson, one time says, he was riding the car with his grandma, said, why don't they just get a job? Or why don't they just go live with their relatives, get a job, and then they can get an apartment? And it seems so simple, but oftentimes there's no ID, there's no social security card, there's no birth certificate. You can't get a job without those things, And so it's not always as simple as it looks.
It never is. Our Charlotte Mecklenburg community, our city council recently voted to implement, I believe, 6 new citations that are really geared toward those that are not housed, about loitering and sleeping on public benches. And I believe that those to be really grave concerns. But is the solution criminalizing poverty? Are you going to move from a park bench on Tryon Street that is free to a jail where you are going to collect fines and fees for money that you don't have to pay? It just doesn't feel like a real solution. And so that was something that was recently put in place. I am dreading what the outcome could be in terms of not only the welfare of those folks, but the exploitation, again, of court fines and fees.
I'm really, really proud right now because the sense that I get from your conversation is how, too, that your faith plays a big part in how you govern,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really awesome. That's really encouraging to see, because so often we kind of put it, and I know that we there's certain ways that we can do that and that type of thing, but I sense that with you, and I think that's so important and encouraging. So
Well, I appreciate that. I think now more than ever, I'm aware of where my power comes from, what I can control, and what I have no control over. Um, I'm very logical and methodical, and at the same time, I can't lean on my own understanding when something happens. I don't know how I could do this very difficult job without the presence of faith and a relationship with God. I'm going to give you one quick example about that, if that's okay.
yeah, come on.
Just this week, no, today is Tuesday. It was last week. Last week, we had a young woman to come into our office. She was in her early 30s. She was there to review evidence of a murder that occurred when she was about 2 or 3 years old. It was the murder of her mother and her sibling, who was an infant at the time. And it was her biological father who was convicted of the crime. All that she knows is what she has been told.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to contact my office, come in and review the evidence for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Here's what we did. We collected the evidence, we inventoried it, so we had the ability to present it piece by piece. We took breaks. We made sure that it wasn't overwhelming. We invited the prosecutor who prosecuted this case 20 years ago to come in and answer any questions for her, which he did so very respectfully. And we asked that we let her bring a support person, someone who was near and dear to her who could help her through this. And we invited a chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually the time with the chaplain that I thought was the most encouraging. I was like, I'm so proud of me. That was the last minute thought. You know, it was a last minute thought. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that it wasn't my own. I would have not come up with that. But the chaplain started us on just the right message. When we took a break, the chaplain escorted her to lunch. And the chaplain checked on each of my employees the next day because it was a very difficult experience for everyone. So I believe that there is a place for God's Holy Spirit to show up in our work every day.
Yep.
Boom! Drop the mic. That's
Drop
it.
the mic.
No. So for those of you, here's what happened. So when we were talking, Michelle and I was talking to Clerk Chinn-Gary in the green room. I said, "Oh yeah, we'll come on and we'll talk for about 20-25 minutes." Of course, that's 40 minutes ago, right? And so I certainly appreciate this conversation and the things that you brought to light. And that's the amazing thing that God does every week is we may think it's going down one path,
Mm-hmm.
and God takes it down another, and we just are better off because of it.
Yep.
And I just want to say thank you for doing that and being who you are. Michelle, anything that you'd like to add as we close?
Yeah, I would just like to say to everyone, like God has given you a talent, and he has also given you a platform. And Clerk Chinn-Gary, you are using your platform with the gifts that God has given you, so that you can help create justice where you can, right? So I just appreciate that, and I hope everyone else can see that, because you have been given a platform, and you can create your own justice and show the grace that God gives us to the platform in which you work in every day. So I just appreciate that.
And you know, I love, you know, I read the comments that come in, and we have people saying thank you for the conversation. I love your spirit, your heart, your expertise, the work that you do. I love Elisa Chinn-Gary. Thank you for the introduction. And so I ditto what Michelle just said. I've gained a lot of respect for that, for you in the office that you hold, and the importance of it. And you're doing that, from what I can see and hear tonight, very well, and very well. We're very well represented. I'm glad that we have somebody like you that's there. And so last words belong to you tonight. Any last word you'd like to say to our audience before we say goodnight?
Well, I want to thank you for the invitation to be here. And I just want to echo what Michelle said. When God whispers, listen and obey.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight, hanging out with us. We started a few months ago saying our show was going to be shorter, but you know, we get into these engaging conversations, and I think it's just so wonderful. And so, and I chalk it all up to God. I mean, he continues to do it week after week. And so thank you for what you're doing. Hang out in the green room for us with just a quick second. Everyone, thank you for being here. We'll be back next week. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Thank you so much.
We hope you've enjoyed the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host Tony Jackson. We encourage you to utilize today's strategies and principles to manage your money in the most effective and winning way. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email, TonyJacksonAgency@gmail.com, or you can reach us on all social media platforms. And if you would like a copy of Tony Jackson's book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, log on to www.therealmoneycoach.com. Until next week's empowering broadcast, God bless.